Hello, everybody, and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports for today's look at the round one of the preparation series ahead of the Rainbow Cup in April. All the franchises in South Africa currently playing in a sort of a competition, no sort of trophy or anything like that, no log as such, just a bunch of fixtures to allow teams to build up their fitness, sort of work on a preseason that allows the likes of Griquas, EP Elephants, Pumas, and Cheetahs to actually play some rugby ahead of whatever the new season holds for us. And for, I think, the Rainbow Cup teams, an opportunity for them to sort of test squad depth and to identify areas they need to improve, and just in terms of maybe areas they want to actually work on during the game, and positions that they might want to improve in terms of bringing in players themselves. So 4 games over the weekend, lots of rotation in terms of the top sides, and some interesting takeaways altogether. Before we look at the games themselves, please do subscribe to the channel, bottom right hand corner of the page there. Also do smash a like on the video, jump in the comments, let me know what you thought of the weekend in terms of any results that sort of stood out for you. There wasn't a demolition of the EP Elephants, but it all started off on Friday when the Lions, a very, very young Lions side, beat the Pumas 32 points, 28. A fantastic watch, actually. It was really, really interesting, nice and close. And I thought it was really good to see that a Lions side which had so many changes. You had Tian Swan playing a flower half. You had lots of youngsters. The only sort of real sort of regulars that played were Monas Skuman, who obviously plays quite a lot. Morty van den Berg was at scrum off. You saw Divan Rousseau being tried on the wing. You saw James Valencia at inside centre, a really nice, exciting player there. A chance for Manu Russ. And then, apart from that, lots of youngsters, a lot of sort of fringe players, even on the bench. Lots of debuts, lots of first-time players were playing. In terms of the Pumas, it was pretty much their best side. It was Morgan Nadir, Simon Vestraat, Willie Engelbrecht, Peter Janssen van Vuren, Eddie Forshare was even back at flower half, Etienne Talliard, Wayne van der Bank, Devin Williams, Luther Obi. It was the normal Pumas side, and so I think the Lions will take a lot of heart over the fact that a lot of their youngsters went and did a job, and it was a very good game. Lions scored 2 tries, Pumas scored 3. Tian Swanepoel kicked very, very well. He kicked both attempts, scored a lot of points off the boot. I mean, it was majority him entire the game. So a nice way for the Lions to sort of test their depth. I'm hoping, as we'll see, we've only got it's for the rest of the month, and it's happening every 10 days. So, we're only going to see so many games in the coming weeks. I think the Lions, I think every team's playing 4 games basically over the sort of next few weeks. So I'm hoping that, we'll probably see one more game of sort of the fringe and junior players, and then we will start to see first team players back in the squad. They're currently doing a sort of a very grueling preseason, which is why we saw also a very young Bull side. But on Saturday, the Cheetahs were beat the Stormers by just 1 point in the Stormers' first game at the Cape Town Stadium. Roscoe Speckman, the one that sort of ruined the day, really. A brilliant performance by him. But it was, in terms of the Stormers team, I wouldn't say there was as much rotation as maybe, for example, the Lions team, but a nice chance for them to see certain players. Ali from Mark getting a start. Scorin Benny was there. Lily Bashir, David Mayhazing, Chris Van Zyl, captain the side at lock, but John Augustus was back. He's, supposedly moving away towards the end of the year. But Kate Voliter got a run on a scrum at fly half. Looked quite good, I think, such a talented player and a player that will be the future of the Stormers number 10, and kind of produces a little bit of a selection headache, because I think John Dobson is very aware of the fact that they need a fly half. But what do you do when you've got a 19, 20-year-old fly half who you think is going to be fantastic? Might not be ready now. Do they look at bringing in a 31, 32-year-old fly half towards the end of their career as a sort of a bridge, really? But Ruan now was back, was too good to see him there. Tristan Lates was back as well. He has suffered a very unfortunate injury during the Currie Cup, so good to see he was back as well. But it was a very good performance by the Cheetahs, without the likes of Reniel Hugo. Had France stay, and I said Roscoe Speckman was very good, ran a 4-10 at fly half there as well. Tian Meyer, scrum half. Hopefully we're going to see Rian Pienaar back in starting lineup. He was on the bench of the weekend, which was really good to see that he's back. So I think, the Stormers will also be quite happy with the results. I think they'll think that if they had their best players, they probably would have beaten them. But it was good for the Cheetahs to continue playing some nice rugby, scoring 4 tries. It's an exciting team to watch, regardless of what happens. They're always an exciting team to watch. And I think they've been very unfortunate with the way they've been treated in terms of just not being enough space for them. And I think SA Rugby have sort of had their decisions justified by the Currie Cup in terms of the best performing teams. But we do worry about what's going to happen with the Cheetahs, that we've got a side with so many good players that produces such a nice brand of rugby. Where are they going to fit in? And then Sunday we had 2 games. We had the Bulls versus the EP Elephants, and unfortunately I think it's going to be a very long few weeks for the EP Elephants. Peter de Villiers is trying to build something in the Eastern Province and trying to sort of go back to square one, really. And a very, very young Bulls side, captained by Nizam Khan, just absolutely decimated them, 87 points to 10. Raised the bat. It was a cricket score. It really wasn't a good performance by the EP Elephants. The term men against boys really sort of rung true. And look, I mean, it was a decent Bulls side. It still had some very good players. It still had the likes of Nizam Khan, Tim Mugabe, Ambrose Papier, Chris Smith at fly half, Madosh Tambwe, the new signing there at wing. David Creel was playing at full back, but a very, very young side. No Dwayne Permena for this time. He's currently recovering from injury. I think, the EP Elephants, look, it didn't help that they lost Ini Khadebe, who's now been ruled out for the next 4 weeks. A very talented fly half. He sort of returned to the fold of international rugby. Looked pretty good. Looked like he sort of was playing with a bit of confidence. Peter de Villiers was waxing lyrical about how good he is, and they lost him in the first half and will not have him for the rest of the tournament. So it is a big concern for them, but I just think that, this EP Elephant side, they're going to need players, they're going to need a lot of time, and it's going to be a while before we start to see any results. And I hope Peter de Villiers does get it right, and I hope that they can start trying to sort of turn things around, because there's too much talent in that province for them to be putting out a side which gets beaten 87-10 by a second string Bull side. That's the reality. And then just to close off the weekend, a very, very good performance from the Sharks side, who beat the Griquas 35 points to 10. No Zach Berger for the Griquas, I think it showed. But, some big performances by James Venter, John van der Mesh, was very good. It was a decent Sharks side. I wouldn't say it was a lot entirely second string side. You had Monty Liebach, you had Pepsi Buthelezi, Apelele Fassi was back, Werner Koch was playing, Jeremy Ward. It was a very good Sharks side. Hiron Andrews, but it does start to show you sort of the depth in the Sharks. And I think that the Sharks are sort of looking at their best players, the likes of like Kanya Arms, Cohen Boschers, Sia Khaleesi now, and they're going to go through a proper preseason where they want to come back 2 weeks before, really, really fit and ready for the Rainbow Cup, and just sort of put the finishing touches really on their game. So it's going to be a strange sort of couple of weeks of rugby, really, I think, and I think that we're going to have to sort of continuously just look at this, and it's basically glorified friendlies. We're basically seeing a pre-season tournament. Expect lots of substitutions, expect a lot of experimentation. Don't expect maybe the best standard rugby. It is rugby to watch though, so we'll take it. The next games are, in fact, next week during midweek. They're trying to have sort of a 10-day gap between games so that they can try and ensure that players are fully recovered and stuff like that. So we'll be back again on Tuesday, next week, Tuesday, 9th of March. Cheetahs will be taking on the Sharks at 4:45 before the Pumas take on the Bulls at 7. On Wednesday, EP Elephants will take on the Lions at 4:45 before the Griquas take on the Stormers. And then on Friday, the 19th of March, the following Friday, we're then going to see the Pumas versus the Cheetahs, Bulls versus the Stormers. So some nice games there. EP Elephants versus the Griquas, Lions versus the Sharks. So I'm hoping that weekend we'll start to see, more sort of A-string sides. When the Bulls playing Stormers, Lions playing the Sharks. Your 4 Rainbow Cup sides playing against each other. Hopefully we'll start seeing sort of really strong teams, and we can kind of start putting the finishing touches ahead of the Rainbow Cup in April. But let me know what you thought of the games down in the comments below. Smash a like on the video. We'll be doing we'll do previews and stuff like that over next week. Unfortunately, it is a bit of a strange situation with not having every weekend and all of it disjointed, but we will be keeping you up to date as much as we can over the next few weeks. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Stephen, and I'll chat to you very soon.